Universalist Kraemer minister here at this church. Thank you for joining me today. It is our annual meeting. We have lots of changes to things going on today, so stay tuned. Helping with today's service are Adele Revo, our board president, also Alex Chilsen and Aaron Hurwitz, our tech. I have one thing that I want to, actually a couple of things that I want to lift up for you. And the one thing that is important to pay attention to is that through the summertime, we are going visiting throughout July and August. So between the three churches in Waukesha, the three UU churches in Waukesha County, which are Brookfield, Lake Country, and us, on 2 Sundays, we will go visiting. We will go to Brookfield, and then we will go to, well, in different order. We're going to go to Brookfield and Heartland on those days. And then on one Sunday, they will come here. We will be hosting. On the 4th Sunday, and I don't take these in order because the order changes, but on another Sunday in that month, we will be home all by ourselves. So you got that? So you will not be here on July 9th or July 30th. Services will be physically in those other 2 locations. Or you can join them online because just like us, they are streamed and online. And you will have all of that information in your email and in your posts. There is a schedule out there on the ledge which has information on all of this. And so the same thing happens in August when we will be at Lake Country on the 6th. And we will be at Brookfield on the 20th. You got that? Say what? Yes. So their services times are 10 a.m. Our service time remains at 10:30 a.m. Okay? Their service times are 10 o'clock, though, just so you know that. Okay? Other questions on that? Okay? Okay. Next week, we will celebrate Flower Communion. It is the 100th anniversary of Flower Communion. It's really a big deal. And we have a special cantata. The choir has been practicing. Make sure you bring a flower and prepare to be filled with joy. Say what? Flowers to throw at the choir. That's right. Yeah. The week after that, the last Sunday of June, we will have a watch party of the worship service at General Assembly. We'll set up the screen and the projector, and we will be here in this sanctuary, but the service will be projected from Pittsburgh. Okay? Today, like I said, is a little different. We have our annual meeting following the service, and in order to shorten things and to accommodate various things that are happening today, there will be no joys and sorrows. If you have a joy or a sorrow to share, please let me know, and we'll address that individually as we can. So today will be a little bit different. Hey, it's Declan's birthday tomorrow. Jeff.
Are we doing the annual meeting right here?
We are doing the annual meeting right here. We will have coffee downstairs. You'll have about 10 minutes to go downstairs and grab a cup of coffee and a treat, but then come back up here and we will have the annual meeting following the worship service today. Okay? Okay. With that, let's light our chalice. Molly, would you do the honors again? May this flame kindle within us the warmth of compassion, the glow of love, the fire of commitment, and the light of truth. Here together, we scatter and nurture seeds of spirit, service, and community. Let's sing together. Hymn number 347 in the gray hymnal or here on the wall, Gather the Spirit. Please rise in body or spirit. So, most of this service was hatched in May when our theme was creativity. At that time, we had a few extra special present Soul Matters materials that got some seeds planted, and Sam Silver and Mary Beth Danielson picked up on the idea. And they had asked questions of all of you throughout the month of May and compiled a bunch of pieces and some art. You have contributed with some of your own sketches on the artwork that's hanging off the windows right over there, including this piece. I don't know who did this one, but it's beautiful. Rainbows was the theme because we had just come off of the Rainbow Land Choir and we were working off of that energy, and so we played with the colors of the rainbow and our own creativity. And here is the opening written by Mary Beth and by Sam. A rainbow is an arc of light, brilliantly displaying all the colors of the visible spectrum. All the colors that combine to make the astounding beauty of our world, all the colors that combine to reflect the incredible diversity of human expression. A rainbow isn't clever, isn't by clever or artistic humans. A rainbow is not doled out for good behavior. A rainbow is not a badge on the self-esteem sash of wonderful and responsible people. Rainbows come via rain and gloom and fog. We see rainbows only if we are looking toward what's dark and still storming. Sunlight passes over our shoulders to refract moisture in the atmosphere ahead and over us. A rainbow surprises us. It reminds us that beauty and love appear when we are not looking for the easy way out. Beauty and love happen when people strive to be generous and truthful through hard times and inconvenient struggles. As Unitarian Universalists, we covenant to support and assist one another in our spiritual care. We draw from our heritage of freedom, reason, hope, and courage, building on the foundation of love. Love is the power that holds us together and is at the center of our shared worth. We are accountable to one another for living our shared values through the spiritual discipline of love. The flame of the chalice lit around our world is the source of light and the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. This is the end of our church year, or almost. And it's really, I think, the end of 3 church years. We have come through a long time of pandemic into this year, which was our first year back together in person for the entire year. A couple of months ago, Kim Johnson, who you know has a camera around his neck often, handed me a disc from his camera. And it contained, I didn't know what I was going to get. It contained astounding images. Some of these images are really, really nice, and they chronicle the life of this congregation over those 3 years. So, inasmuch as this year comprises 3, I want to offer a photo essay, Compliments of Kim, of our last 3 years. It's going to take about 6 minutes to get through this, and I'm going to take a minute to get it set up, but you're going to see some cool stuff. Okay? This is going to serve as our time for all ages this Sunday, and I think you will be interested because there's kids here too. So hold on. Okay, Alex. That's all of you. Thank you so much again for this community and how it just stayed together. I think that chronicles all of the times that we were physically together over those 3 years. So thank you, Kim, and thank you, everyone. Let's sing ourselves Walking with You.
Walking with you is our prayer.
And at this point, children might go out to the child care room with Lily and Adia. Okay. And I'm going to invite up now Jennifer Byregger, Maria Hinners, and Meg Whaley. What do I want to say? The biggest part of the work that Sam and Mary Beth did was to pull together a poem built on the images and the thoughts and the favorites and the things that you all have identified as key to this congregation. So they're going to come up, and this is written in 4 parts, and they're going to work through this each at a time. I have a script for you guys, so you don't have to worry about that, or maybe you have your own. But I want to invite the 3 of you up now and tell us who we say we are.
Again, this is written by you, with some editing and organizing by Sam and Mary Beth. We see hues of red and orange. Don't ask us to be moderate. We love our kids, red hair, and red lipstick, especially on our gorgeous older ladies. We love red-ribboned mariachi skirts, our holy, holy red scarf, and ornaments on Christmas trees. We remember and recall the pulsating red hearts of the old saints who never bored us. We are unique and quirky and talented. We can write. We can parallel park. One of us, if not more, has double-jointed thumbs. We can untangle what's tangled and cook, bake, and make fantastic food. Can you find a spaghetti squash egg bake savant in just any old congregation? We sing, listen, and hear. Songs speak to us. Sometimes we even know what people are saying when they are not speaking our language. We are only silent when someone tells us to be quiet. Sometimes. We are neither dull nor bored. What do we do with our free time? Who has free time? We use our free time to invent things to do. Walks alone, walks together, biking, reading, more reading, and then a new book, and hey, it's time to read. Sometimes we sleep. Sometimes we sit quietly and think about nothing except what we think of things to do, so we get back up and do them. We are all, every single one of us, wildly attractive and well-dressed. We have experience with bell-bottoms, love beads, jewelry sets, maxi skirts, and mini skirts. Sometimes some of us wear our pajamas around the neighborhood. One of us wears a wizard cape.
We see hues of yellow and green. Peace comes when we're moving along, driving through the day, through the night, leaving, coming home, hiking through woods, sometimes barefoot, swimming in an up-north lake. We follow and honor imaginative spiritual heroes. Some of ours are writers, Mary Oliver, Madeleine L'Engle, and Maya Angelou, Carl Sagan, C.S. Lewis, and Tony Hillerman. We lean on wisdom and strength learned from a college pastor, Reverend Carla and Jimmy Carter. We love how the world outside wafts on breezes, the neighbors' fresh-cut grass, spring flowers as we walk by someone's garden, lily of the valley, rosemary, and lavender on a hot summer afternoon, the lake when the wind dies down, the dust and tang of sawdust and wood chips. We want to lay down on the mossy floors of these woods. We want to look up through the tamarack branches and remember the redwoods we saw back then. Bring us a sandwich, quick, right now. Let it be luscious sourdough with deli cheese and smashed avocado kissed with a quick squeeze of lemon. We are people who think and wonder, is there life on other planets? Is there life after the mystery of death? We wonder how we fit into our world and why so many people act senselessly. Why won't people change when what they believe no longer makes sense? Why are some people cruel and others so profoundly kind? What is the meaning of this life we are in? And while we are wondering, what does it feel like to fly like a bird?
We see hues of blue and violet, pieces also when we are nearly still, watching a vast horizon as it changes, sitting on the deck, listening to the day wind down in our neighborhood, out in the gazebo, a million miles away from inside the house, watching Jane Austen movies alone, snuggled in bed, being by water, hygge to the max. We smell love and affection wafting through the house, freshly baked things out of the oven, chocolate chip cookies, lemon slices, poppies and their milky sour breath, flowers on the table in the other room. We kept things that saved us, spoke to us, told us who we had been, where we had come from, and who loved us. We still have our old rosary, our childhood braid, and that stone that we dug from the beach of Lake Michigan with our sister all those years ago, along with the jewelry box from Aunt Mildred and our high school yearbook. And then we left home. Pansies, irises, and lilacs surprise our eyes after long winters of tree silhouettes against the pale lilac sky. We love blueberries and grapes, kids' birthday cupcakes, and dark wine at the end of a long day. We wear purple, scarves, sweaters, sunglasses, and amethysts. One of us snuggles under a lavender afghan. Many of us travel to watch the rippling indigos of vast lakes and endless oceans. We are profoundly, endlessly, and ridiculously creative. We cook and bake. We create crafts and make art. We hang out with friends and pursue hobbies. We assemble beautiful montage cards to give to others and make repairs to keep our home lives perking along. We raise and teach children. Some of us tend to gardens that are simple and humorous. A few of us grow gardens that become rainbows.
We see hues of the rainbow. What does belonging to our congregation really mean to us? It is our home where we feel wanted and welcome. Here, we accompany and are accompanied by fellow seekers. We are not afraid to ask questions and practice inconvenient acts of kindness. Our community is open-hearted and interconnected and supports us without conditions. Belonging to people who want us to be here, singing in the choir, being welcomed with smiles and hugs and questions about our ongoing lives. Walking in, they know our name. Being in this congregation that fits everyone welcomes me too. This is a place where we seriously consider issues of justice that are skimmed or ignored in so many other sites and communities. This is our home. We are not a colossal congregation, but we are not solitary humans trekking alone. We see all the things we see in our individual lives, and then we come together and share by word, attitude, and spirit all the ways we see the world. We see, sense, and celebrate the rainbow that we are.
Thank you. Once again, written by you. Also, Sam and Mary Beth have put together a bit of a color tune. This was written to the tune of My Favorite Things, or at least it was in their heads. And Alex is going to sing through it. I'm going to share the words on the wall now. Not all of these words actually fit into the tune, but they're all here.
Oranges and sunsets and parallel parking, lipstick and walking and red hair and humming, bell-bottoms, wizard capes, egg bakes and hearts. We sail our rainbow boat onwards with love. Daffodils and books and fresh-cut grass, puppies, breath lakes and singing and friends, avocados, tea sets with dolls and lemons. We sail our rainbow boat onwards in love. Madeline, Lingle, and Grandma Edith, the perfect pen and the bright amethyst, at the library, on the floor, and at the lake. We sail a rainbow boat onwards in love. When the thunder strikes and the hail falls, when I'm feeling dispirited, I simply remember my favorite colors, and then I don't feel so bad.
Or, as you know, we are considering our faith movement, the Unitarian Universalist Association in the United States, is considering changing Article 2 of our bylaws, which would revise our 7 principles, replace them with 7 values. Whether this happens or not, and however you feel about it, the values that are expressed here are pretty close to what it is that we are all about. And they are, as you can see, attended by colors. And so in the good work here of compiling a rainbow array, equity, symbolized by red, active, inviting, and passionate. Equity says we respect others with abundance. With our words and our actions, we declare that every person has the right to flourish. Generosity, teal, invites peace and calming energy. Generous people offer kindness, fairness in sharing what we have, gratitude and hope. Interdependence, orange glows. Interdependence acknowledges the inseparable interconnections between us and the natural world around us. People who honor independence recognize the web of life and work to repair what's harmed and damaged. Justice. Yellow shines and gleams. Justice asks us to work against and take down racism and all forms of systemic oppression. Love. The gold of fire brings light, danger, and hope to life. Love insists on freedom, choice, and peace. Love is deeds, not creeds. Pluralism. Blue is both serene and changeable. Pluralism celebrates that we are all free and responsible for searching for our purpose. transformation. Purple is elegant and inspiring. People who seek and welcome shifts are open to change. Our values in Unitarian Universalism are refracted through our choices, expressions, and experiences. We become a rainbow as we work to be a rainbow of hope and invitation. That's us. That's our rainbow selves. I want to say that I wasn't prepared for this, but I have been following this maxim of less prep, more presence. And it's been a busy couple of days here at this church. We had a memorial service for Edna Pfeiffer. We have been preparing for our annual meeting. On Saturday morning, we took a bike ride with members of Edna's family and other friends. And then Mary and I went down to Zao MKE Church in Milwaukee, where a Christian right-wing group targeting that queer Christian church out on the street. And there was confrontation through the day. You may have seen something on the news about that. We were there for a short time, and I engaged with a man in some conversation, which was extremely frustrating. I got flat-footed in one of those no-win conversations and didn't respond as well as I should. And I have spent a day and a night stewing about it. And what I came to realize, I think at about 4 a.m. this morning, is that what I forgot is what we are all about. A God of love, a God who would condemn no one to hell, and that individual experience of transcending mystery and wonder that is within each of us, and not bound by creeds or doctrine or scripture or clergy or anyone, but only by you. You have that ability to access the divine. And I'm so grateful for this congregation and for all of you in your rainbow colors. We're going to break here now and take up an offering as we do each week. Please give generously. Alex will play Spirit of Life as we take the offering.
Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me.
Our message today comes from Adele Revo, who's been serving so well as our board president this year. So in prep for the annual meeting, a little bit, and a little bit more about Adele, here she is.
Oh, thank you. Good morning. It's an honor to be talking to you all today, and it's been an honor to serve on the board. The title of my thoughts is Getting Sucked into UUC. And mind you, I spelled suck, S-U-U-C-K-E-D.
When Meg approached me a year ago about becoming a member of the board, I was shocked, and my immediate thought was, smile, don't look panicked. It was an overwhelming invitation at the time because I was coming out of a very dark place in my life and feeling like my day-to-day duties was enough. But I brought the question to my therapist, and as a good therapist does, we pro and conned it together. By the end of the session, we had decided that the pros had won. More involvement in UUC would be good for my soul and help my healing. So my secret plan was to go to the board retreat and stay quiet. Respond only when necessary, to be present and mindful so my anxiety wouldn't get the best of me. Smile if I started to feel overwhelmed. Breathe and learn about everything going on in UUC and the role of the board. Basically, just ease into it as a first-year, first-time member. Well, the plan kind of worked. I was able to stay present, anxiety disappeared quickly, breathed in and breathed out, smiled and laughed because I was having a good time, learned a lot, took many notes, both mental and on paper, added to conversations more than I thought I would, and eased into my first year by becoming board president. Something my therapist and I didn't pro and con about. I didn't really know the role of board president at the time, nor the other board members. We had exchanged niceties at services, sat at the same table eating cookies, and saw each other at a few events. But I really didn't know anything about them as people. But this has quickly changed, and what a pleasure it has been. Each of them has such a warm heart, welcoming spirit, and supportive nature. Their willingness to go above and beyond for this congregation is humbling and inspiring. They are dedicated to doing the best for you and for this congregation. I hope I am the same for them, warm, welcoming, and supportive, portraying the same willingness, dedication, and inspiration. Together, we have continued to work on projects that were started before us. Policy and bylaw review, building concerns, budgetary items, supporting upcoming events, and making sure Reverend David never retires. As we continue to do this work, it became clear that this congregation does a lot for its size. Plus, it became apparent that if we wanted it to grow, it would take some careful planning. Enter Dan Hotchkiss and his book, Governance and Ministry, Rethinking Board Leadership. David brought this resource to our attention as a tool for us to start thinking about us. How would we operate as a board, and what is the role of the board within the larger congregation? The book is a detailed how-to for UU congregations, starting with two important definitions: governance and ministry. Governance, Hotchkiss defines, relates to articulating the mission, choosing major goals and strategies, delegating power to those who lead the daily work. It also means requiring that the congregation's money, property, and people are kept safe, and that the congregation live in harmony with its own values. Governance, he continues, connects the congregation's work with the concerns of the various stakeholders, members, future members, donors, and volunteers, its wider community, and its family of related congregation, and its ancestors in faith. In sum, Hotchkiss believes that governance is holding the whole institution and its work in trust, voicing its intentions, and taking responsibility for its performance. A huge role for any board to take on, but we made a commitment to each other to keep these duties and vision in mind as we started our work. Ministry, Hotchkiss defined, is the rest of what a congregation does. The daily work of building a community, managing resources, and transforming lives. A short list compared to governance, but not at all simple. Hotchkiss goes on to explain, anyone whose job it is to lead a program, serve food, organize worship, sweep floors, train others, tune the piano, or help visitors to find a seat is part of ministry. Hotchkiss does not distinguish between ordained and lay person, paid and unpaid, program or administrative staff. It is anyone involved in the practical work of changing lives in ways that fits its mission, acting out its values, and achieving its goals. UUC is so lucky to have so many people doing this ministry work. The board has made a commitment to recognize people as professional staff, to honor you as valued volunteers, support the leaders in growth and change, and remember the amazing people who make this congregation thrive. Hotchkiss believes that together, both governance and ministry produce relationships, enthusiasm, and renewed faith. He dives deep into the specific way a congregation can organize to achieve all this, managing the work of governing by forming committees, completing the work that needs to be done with ministry teams, and building on the life of a congregation with fellowship groups. There is no order of importance or dynamic of power and control, but a deep sense of responsibility and accountability to each other and the congregation as a whole. During one of the first board meetings, David presented a list of committees and groups that currently existed within UUC. Once again, I was shocked. I had no idea there was so much work going on behind the scenes and the number of groups that did it all. David began to organize them within the Hotchkiss structure, and through discussion, we applied this new way of thinking to how UUC operates. You will hear more about that during the annual meeting. What became very apparent very quickly, and most importantly, is that we rely heavily on volunteers, otherwise known as people who got sucked in. We rely on them to make this congregation successful. Volunteers who volunteer for more than one thing. Volunteers who've been doing their service work and now they may want to retire. Volunteers who are willing to step up but don't know where their skills can be most used or their passion best expressed. Or volunteers we just don't have because while we are strong and mighty, we are still a small congregation. All of these are very important factors to remember when talking about taking on additional work, projects, or growth. So in response, as a board, we said, let's take on more projects. Kind of forgetting a minute about this whole thing about limited volunteers. But we did, which you will also hear about at the annual meeting. At the same time, these high-level organizational structure ideas were swirling around in my head. There was still the day-to-day happenings in our local, state, and federal governments and our Waukesha community that were pissing me off. I had awakened from my dark place to realize it was time to get back into the trenches of doing social justice work that I loved and did throughout my life, both professionally and personally. Work that had slipped away from me. Enter Rainbow Land. I think it was my mom who first told me about this controversy, and then I heard a couple people talking about it during coffee hour. I did my own research, and while walking on the treadmill at the YMCA, I finally listened to the song. Not once, not twice, but 3 times. I could not believe that Molly and Dolly wrote such a kick-ass song years ago, and I had not heard it or heard about it until now. My thoughts were coming as quick as my feet were hitting the rubber. Ideas were popping into my head with each step I took. I felt like I was already marching. To where? Who knows? With who cares? I was on fire, and I was going to do something about it. And the ideas I had were good. I mean, really good. They were action-oriented advocacy efforts, community support events, and a little bit of in your frickin' face, school board. So there I was on the treadmill, looking up the lyrics on my cell phone, listening to the song over and over, thinking about the students who wanted to sing the song and how school administrators and the school board made it controversial. I got pissed off. I needed to talk to someone about it now, like right now, before the energy of my pissed offness went away. Now, I don't know how many of you have tried to write a passion-filled email on your cell phone. While feeling pissed off, listening to a couple of women singing about rainbows, while walking on a treadmill at 6:30 in the morning. But it wasn't easy. I wrote a solid beginning, but it was about the time I was going to drop my phone, twist my ankle, and land face first on the console that I decided the rest of the email should probably wait until I got home. That first email to David led to more emails sucking people in, an impromptu meeting during coffee hour, people being tasked with things to do, phone calls being made, and events planned. Once again, I was in awe and inspired about how things were happening so fast and being organized so quickly. As a result, networks were being tapped, advocacy groups came forward, reporters were contacted, and volunteers supported the teacher. It was like, Shazam! We're really doing this. Fast forward now, I'm standing in a parking lot, surrounded by like-minded, passionate folks, singing about everybody being rainbows, every color, every hue, watching kids use chalk to leave their own colorful marks on the pavement, and waiting to go inside to share my thoughts with the school board. A group of people who I was certain was wrong, just very wrong. After that event, I left feeling more energized, more sucked in. My fire had returned with another inspiring thought. UUC can be a great leader for this community. The amazing people I see every Sunday who are loving, accepting, and steadfast can really help in righting the wrongs, and when needed, kick a little ass. As it happens, around this same time, Ellen asked about my interest in attending the Sophia core team training. I secretly was already thinking about it, but Ellen sucked me in. At the training, a resource was referenced, a book titled Doing Justice, Congregations and Community Organizing. It's by Dennis Jacobson, a local Milwaukee author. At the time that Jacobson wrote this book in 2001, he was pastor at the Incarnation Lutheran Church in Milwaukee. Thus, there are many references to the Bible, Jesus, church leaders, and well-known doctrine in the book. But there are also Native American teachings, quotes from Martin Luther King, Nelson Mandela, and Frederick Douglass, critiques of the government, statistics on socioeconomic realities, references to Micah, the sister organization of Sophia, and stories from real folks with lived experiences of hardship, poverty, discrimination, and violence. And admittedly, I have not read the whole book, but it is an interesting read to say the least. UUism and philosophy are really what Jacobson talks about when he describes solutions and community organizing. But there are a few items I want to lift up from the book that struck my soul and my UU-ness. Churches must enter the public arena in order to be the church, in order to be true to itself. the works of mercy are considerably limited if they are not done with regard to systematic injustice. Political pressure generated by advocacy can be very helpful, but the advocacy effort, devoid of any real organizational base and strategy, can be ineffectual in creating any substantial change in behavior. An individual may be helped, but the system remains intact. And in a type of warning to his Christian brethren, Jacobson writes, "If the pain and human degradation all around us doesn't give us sufficient anger to want to shake the foundations of this society, then it's probably best for us to go back to plain church and to leave organizing to those commitment is real." What I took from that warning, Jacobson follow the UUs, where commitment is real and where seeds of spirit, service, and community are scattered and nurtured. Jacobson continues his call for community organizing in a chapter titled Agitation. He writes, "Agitation is a means of getting another to act of their own power and self-interest. Agitation is a summoning forth of one's visions for one's life in defiance of all those cultural forces that press down upon a person. Agitation does not leave people hanging. It honors the valuable gifts that they bring. It summons them to release those gifts in service of their vision for their lives, and it connects them to a community where their gifts can be actualized and their leadership developed." These words reminded me of a great deal of what Reverend Marilyn talked about: get uncomfortable. And Jacobson, in my opinion, is saying hang out with a bunch of pissed off UUs. UUC can be that community for you where your vision is shared and nurtured. Your talents and gifts are welcomed and valued, where the structure of the organization allows for any level of service, action, and leadership, where governance, ministry, and fellowship have equal importance. Here you have space to get agitated, to light your fire of commitment and see it spread. And I guarantee you, you will get sucked in.
So I think the only response to that is Rainbow Land. Hit it.
Living in a rainbow land where everything goes as planned, and I smile, 'cause I know if we tried, we could really make a difference in this world. I won't give up or sleep or wink, it's the only thought I think, you know where I stand. I believe we can start living rainbow land. Living in a rainbow land where you and I go hand in hand, or I'd be lying if I said this was fine. All the hurt and the hate going on here. We are rainbows, me and you, every color, every hue, let's shine on through. Together we can start living in a rainbow land. Living in a rainbow land where skies are blue and things are grand. Wouldn't it be nice to live in paradise where we're free to be exactly who we are? Let's all dig down deep inside, brush judgment and fear aside, make wrong